Hi folks, welcome to the show, and today we are back with more Season 3 of Ducktales, and tonight's episode is the Trickening, the Halloween special, which I'm surprised it took them that long to do a Halloween special, but considering the content of the show, you could pretty much consider almost every other episode to be a Halloween special. Being a Halloween episode, there's of course going to be a lot of references to classic horror movies, and just a bit of lore for you guys. I don't watch horror movies. I know, shocking, but yeah, I don't do the spooky stuff. So I might catch a few references, but a lot of it's just going to fly completely over my head. In terms of what I want from the episode, I don't really have too many expectations, since obviously this isn't going to be an episode that pushes along the overarching story. So what I'm mainly looking for is just a dark, funny episode with some nice character development. But yeah, that's all I have to say, so let's jump right in. Oh, he was just a Skizmo dog. Info dump as much as you want, sweetie. At least it's in a bass range now. I mean, I could sing it. Oh my god, that's the spooky, scary skeleton dance. Louis, I think we skipped a few steps here. Would you mind filling us in?
He couldn't have crashed all these in one night.
I don't know. It's Launchpad. Louis, I think we're missing something here. Oh, Louis, I love you. But why? He deserved it. Oh my god. You're supposed to be the one that helps us avoid these situations, not the one that gets us into them. You're not looking at all the angles here, and that is literally your job. Oh no.
What are you doing? Nothing. Why? What are you
Oh god. Alright, well I'm not sleeping tonight. Animation, Season 3's animation, add it again. Oh, he thinks they're real monsters. Of course he thinks they're real monsters. It's Launchpad. Oh, Donald is too pure. Yeah, can we not open that one again? No. Oh.
Why would you ever say that?
It all started long ago. I was out, being a kid.
Oh, Launchpad is a
I
kid.
was totally familiar. When I read it aloud, everything changed. It was silent and
He had to be at least like six by this time. I thought the whole thing was going to set on fire then.
yes, joyful souls are the candy of the beasts. Beasts that I'm free. Yes.
Awesome! I'm in!
Hungry?
A Halloween they'll never forget!
Is it wrong to call Donald one of my favourite Disney characters because of this show? Oh no. Oh no. Oh! Ugh. This is legitimately unsettling. I mean, I knew it was gonna be a...
What do you mean, no candy?
Oh. Oh my god.
Hurt anyone?
I'll end this, even if I have to take all these tiny demons out one by one.
Oh no, he's gonna hurt everyone. Time to decide who was wrong about what. We've gotta stop him.
Oh.
Pirate on vacation?
Who are you people?
Not like there's some 24-hour candy store somewhere.
That's what I've been saying.
Oh.
Webby, what happened when the Celtics ran out of treats to appease the demons with?
Usually they bet on children.
What is that horrible garbled moaning? He's possessed. Monosodium glutamate sucralose.
Oh my god.
Sorbate.
Oh, Lodgepod.
There is one house that I know hasn't given out any treats yet.
So you're saying tonight's a holiday?
Oh, Mrs. Beatrice is Darkwing.
And then go door to door.
Well, Uncle Scrooge, finally opening up your gates for Halloween. Feeling the true spirit of the holiday. You're charging them admission, aren't you?
And we're open all night.
An all-night candy store. Yeah, it'd be a Halloween miracle.
Oh.
Close enough, pal. Close enough.
What? Ducktales Season 3 continues to be among the best animation this year, and that is not something I say lightly. So let's crack this episode open and take a look. Starting quickly with the animation, which I know I already spent time praising the movement and expressions in last week's episode, but I just have to talk about it here because certain moments made me feel genuinely uncomfortable because of how well animated it was. Now, Disney TVA has arguably subjected us to way worse than this. Case in point, yeah, the animation is great, blah blah, so now let's talk about the story and character development. The episode opens with the kids talking about their Halloween costumes as Webby adorably info dumps about her costume, a Demon King. No relation. Probably. Huey dresses up as Gizmo Duck, one of his hyperfixations. Dewey's dressed as a pirate on vacation and will be the main comedic highlight of this episode because that's just how Dewey does it. And Louie is dressed up as...
Junior Woodchuck Rule 9 million.
And here's where I introduce a new segment which I like to call Why Louie? Why? Louie is my favourite character in this show, and in my opinion his arc over season 2 has been the most satisfying storyline so far, not counting Lena. But occasionally he does things that just make you go,
Why?
and this episode has a few instances of that. Starting with his costume, where he not only imitates his brother, but openly mocks one of his special interests, which I get, they're brothers, they're going to make fun of each other, but this just seems unusually cruel, even for the character who shrugged at being labelled the evil triplet. But that's not my main issue, since the episode is somewhat about Huey and Louie's relationship. My main issue is Louie is just really dumb here. He literally says anyone who goes into Hazel House disappears, and yet still has no problem with it. Louis in this episode is incredibly one-track minded. He never once stops to think things through when he's supposed to be the careful one who looks at every angle before making a move. I get it's his greed taking over, but even when he is given a perfectly good reason to not go further, he only slightly considers the consequences before forcing everyone to continue. It's not exactly out of character, but something about his actions in this episode didn't sit well with me. Anyway, Scrooge kicks the family out of the mansion so that he can... I can't possibly do this justice. Just watch.
Back in Glasgow, this was the one night a year I could eat sweets like a rich man's son. Through sheer hard work, I earned more treats than all the kids in town. And every year I aim to reclaim that glory.
So, since Della wants to run a haunted house and Donald wants to hand out candy to trick-or-treaters because he is just the best, they go to hang out with Launchpad. I was excited to get some more sibling interactions with Donald and Della, and this episode is easily the strongest showing of their dynamic so far, with Donald being the more level-headed one who has to rein in Della's not-so-mentally stable tendencies.
And I wanted to scare those trick-or-treaters so that they'd never close their eyes again.
Speaking of Della, it's nice she finally got to play a decent role in an episode since she really hasn't been all that involved so far this season, which on some level it's kind of amazing how seamlessly she was able to fit into the pre-established cast, and she still has a few shining moments, but this episode and The Lost Harp of Movana have been her most prominent roles this season. And even then, she's not doing a whole lot. It's not a major issue, but I'd like to see Della have her own episode soon. And if some precious sibling moments between Donald and Della weren't enough, this episode teams them up with Launchpad, which, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we've seen a lot of Donald and Launchpad interacting. As for Launchpad in this episode, he doesn't know what Halloween is, which, okay, it's Launchpad, but he believes all the trick-or-treaters are real demons, which is funny, until he starts trying to murder children. Also Scrooge, though to be fair, he was kind of asking for it. It's a much needed, slightly more light-hearted subplot with a satisfying ending. There's more I can go into, like how genius the idea is of having real fake monsters, but there are much, much better people who can talk about that. So the very last thing I want to discuss is the development we got for Huey and Louie's relationship, even if it was quite brief. While I complained about Louie's treatment of Huey earlier, especially with the constant mocking of his special interests, this is the moment of development for the two we've been seriously lacking up until now, with the only episode I can think of that had them interacting to this extent was The Most Dangerous Game Night Ever, the Season 2 premiere. I will say the episode did not go where I thought it would with this development. I was thinking it was going to be about how important scheduling is to Huey and how Louie never takes him seriously, but I was pleasantly surprised when it pulled the whole twist on Louie's entire motivation, making him realize that if they succeeded and got a lifetime supply of candy, then what would be the point of trick-or-treating ever again? A conclusion that isn't entirely spelt out for the audience as Louis figures it out on his own rather than being told, which is yet another one of this show's many, many strengths. It was also nice to get a moment where Huey is fully portrayed as the oldest of the triplets. Since episode 1, we've seen Dewey be desperate for attention and to be recognised, which stems from being the middle child, and how Louis feels like he can get away with almost anything and yet is still the most emotionally vulnerable. But I can only think of a handful of moments where Huey took charge and had to be the mature one. I also think Huey's fear of losing Halloween also has to do with him wanting to hold on to his comfortable routine, but I think I've made my feelings on that pretty clear already. Point is, this is wonderful development that's been a long time coming. They even managed to bring back Louie's insensitive comments in a kind of endearing way.
Junior Woodchuck Rule 99. Who cares about the candy?
And that was the Trickening. It was pretty much what I expected, even if I wasn't quite anticipating how hard it was going to go in some areas, which, saying out loud, sounds insane considering what show this is. But it was an absolutely phenomenal Halloween episode that was disturbing and hilarious, but as always was balanced out with a few moments of sincere character interactions that show how this family continues to get stronger 3 seasons in. And considering what's waiting just up ahead, we need those bonds as strong as they can possibly get. Thanks for watching, folks. See you real soon.